Welcome back to Navigating the Healing Path podcast with Maggie and Nikki. Today we are so excited to talk about one of the greatest joys of being alive on this planet, on this earth, in my humble opinion. And that is creating time and space for play and tapping into our own inner creativity, connecting with our inner child, and enjoying art or any form of self-expression that calls to our soul.
Meg, I couldn't agree with you more about that. I think it is an amazing tool to connect with ourselves even. And I love how you said connecting with the inner child, especially because oftentimes that part of us had to grow up so fast. And it became not acceptable to keep playing after a certain age. And I just wholeheartedly disagree with how that has been, because creative expression and art and play especially is how we learn as children.
It is.
It's the preferred method, and Spirit loves to play. And I just love playing. Who doesn't love playing games and cards and stuff? But it became so rigid and compartmentalized almost. And I think what we're going to be talking about today is creating more space for play so that we can feel better and fulfilled and connected with, whether it's outside of us with a group of people that we play bridge with, or with ourselves as we noodle on the guitar, whatever it is. So that's what we're going to talk about. I love it. I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear what we say.
Me too.
Okay, but before we get into it, because I can already feel us going, yes, let's go.
Yep.
But real quick, let's do the thing that we do and breathe. So, all the listeners out there, you're invited to breathe with us, to connect, to drop into our heart centers, and to open ourselves to receive any messages or inspiration that we may want right now. So here we go. Breathing in. And as you breathe in, feeling that expansion down into your third chakra, the solar plexus, pumping and fueling inspiration and creativity. One more breath.
And the sacral chakra too.
Yeah.
Those two connected are such a powerhouse
sure.
of creativity.
Yeah, the second chakra, balancing and utilizing the energy for creativity. And it was just funny because I was just sort of seeing the bellows. The bellows for a fireplace, as you bring in that oxygen that fuels the fire, the passion. And for me, that starts, some of it is in that third chakra, but then I did see it connecting with that second chakra to bring in more of that. Being embodied is really helpful. I think it really gives you a lot of information. But let's talk about creativity and play. What does it mean to play, especially as an adult? There are acceptable forms of play. Video games. Pickleball. It's real big right now, right?
It is. I love it. Thanks for that. Pickleball is fantastic. Yeah, card games.
Art. Coloring.
Although I feel that's less acceptable for adults.
Oh, no. I think in the last 10 years or so, coloring has been way more acceptable and encouraged as a way of relaxing. Because you see a lot more adult coloring books, not like adult themed, like everything's so schmexy, but like just the images, it's on better paper, right?
Guess it depends who you are and how you're raised.
Yeah, I guess so.
There are definitely some people out there and families that I think disapprove of video games as an adult. There's a lot of restrictions.
Extreme, though, too.
It does, of course.
Everything that we do, even play, could be extreme and become unbalanced and unhelpful.
This is true.
I think life is about play.
Yes.
I think we're actually here to play. People have talked a lot about this being the great simulator. This is a game. This is a school, Earth school. And we are just players. You know, you hear a lot about equating life to a game. So then why is play so bad? Why not play? You know the rules, learn the rules, play the game. Or don't play the game, and that's a choice, and you're an observer, and you just let things happen, and that's fine too. There's no wrong way to play this particular game. It just depends on your values, I think, ultimately.
Yeah, life to me does feel like the ultimate game. And I absolutely love play. It's so much fun. I love card games. I love board games. I love playing music and coloring and painting. And there's just such a beautiful smorgasbord charcuterie spread of things to enjoy and to have fun with and to tap into our childlike wonder. I've never understood this concept of the older you get, the less joyful and playful and curious and wondrous we're supposed to be, as if living in reality is some like peak adult integral responsible thing to do where everybody's just supposed to grow up. I never understood.
Serious.
Be serious.
Life is serious.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
And challenging, and there's all these limited beliefs about what's appropriate and what's adult and what's not. And like it's a bad thing to act childish. Like it's so serious. Like why? What is that? I mean, I get it. I get survival coming in and making us focus, but I still think there's room for creativity and play in even those serious moments, because for me it helps you get through it easier.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going through a hard time, you always hear, like, if someone's sick, what's the best medicine?
Laughter.
And where does laughter come from? From joy, from connecting, from humor, from play. I find it interesting how often adults prevent themselves from playing. Maybe they don't know how. What happens? Like, have you noticed that, like, people don't know how to play anymore? It's like you kind of forget. You just get stuck. So how do we open ourselves to play? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say in the last few years, I have made it a prioritization for me to connect with more forms of play that I used to enjoy as a kid, and using this as a tool of self-exploration and self-discovery to see the things that bring me joy, that maybe relax me, and figuring out different ways to spend my time rather than just like doom scrolling or numbing out to a video game that I've played just a little bit too much and a little bit too often. But I think to answer the part about like what happens, is that part of your question? Is like, how do we get to this point and how to tap back in? Or
my question was just, how do we tap back in?
Okay.
But if you have insight into how it happens, please.
Okay. I think for me, just speaking from like my personal path, it did start to diminish in college and probably end of high school. Like as I started working towards this concept of like building a real life and a real career, and all of these things start coming online of like, you have to pay bills and you have to take care of more things around the house as you're not living with family anymore, and just like all of these new intense things kind of come in that do admittedly take up so much time. But I think just watching the adults around me, like especially in family or watching friends in my life, just solely focusing on work and prioritizing that and just not having time for anything else, because the capitalistic structure we've built in this society is very much prioritize work, prioritize money, prioritize survival. And understandably so, it keeps us alive. Although I don't like the system.
What propelled you or compelled you to prioritize play? Like once you noticed your values shifted or your focus shifted to adulting, taking care, having a job, getting your education, doing all of that, work. What brought you back to the desire, the openness to begin to play again?
I don't know. I'm shuffling back through the timeline. It's hard to like pinpoint it because I think there are so many moments that my soul has just been like, this is what I love, this is what I enjoy. And there's always been an outlet for play, I think in some form or another. Like I've played instruments my whole life, and that's always been a point of it, but I think I played them to the point of it not being play and it being more of like a self-forcing like discipline, or like I have to do this because this is a thing that I do. I don't know. It's like there's just always been this deep internal soul calling and enjoyment of play and artistic expression and creation. And after I got laid off from my previous job, there was just so much time that opened up for me to look within and to ask questions. And the best way for me that I felt just called to filling my time with and exploring was just tapping in with my inner artist and exploring what my inner child misses. So then I picked up the artist way and we did the course together. Mm-hmm. And I think that just brought up a lot about how my soul does feel like this is what she's here to do, is to play and to create and to make art and to have deep creative conversation and make all types of music and connect with others through creativity and through art, and to ignite other people's desire to express and create and play. This is weird to formulate into words though. Like it's hard to pinpoint like this is the moment. Mm-hmm. But I think just the moments where my life and the real world aspect of life has been stripped away momentarily, like from when I got laid off from my job and from when the pandemic hit. Those are the times that have allotted for a lot of sitting with myself, and this is just what has naturally emerged, is that desire. And up until recently, I'd been kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but I now feel very certain that because it keeps coming up and because I get so much joy out of these things, I know that this is something that I want to commit the rest of my life to, is play and creation.
Yeah, I love that.
Cool.
Same here. It's my favorite things to do. It's my favorite way to learn and to connect with others, because life is hard enough just being here.
It is.
That we need a release, or we need space to connect to the joy that we get through play. And I think it's a disservice that we do to ourselves to prevent ourselves from connecting with that joy, humor, and other people, or just ourselves.
Yeah. What has been your creative play inner artist journey in the last couple of years? Because I know you've been blocked, or you've said that you've felt blocked for a long time, because there was a point where you just kind of stopped naturally drawing and doing mixed media. But yeah, I'd love to know kind of like what your timeline is, and then I have a couple more questions after, like how it's felt, the difference between actively putting time into play and creating, how that feels when you prioritize it versus when you're not, and how making space for it affects the day-to-day and your own energy and emotional well-being. But yeah,
Yeah.
what's your timeline?
So I was reflecting back a little bit on when if I did stop playing. And that's kind of hard because I've always enjoyed being playful and creative. But I got very serious for a while, probably around when you did. I've been working since I've been 12 years old, babysitting, and then 14, worker's permit, had my first job, worked all the way through high school, several jobs through college, at least 3 to 5 jobs after I moved out here at a time. So it was a lot of work. There was a lot of work. And I started to notice my mental health, while it wasn't always the best, really started to go down in my late 20s when I was just all focused on work and survival. You know, all work, no play makes Nikki a sad girl. So it really helped that Josh, my partner, my husband now, has always been incredibly playful and has always made room for his inner child to express himself. And that gave me such permission to begin to imagine and bring that more into my life as well. He always saw my artistic abilities before I did. I downplay everything just because I'm not a naturally gifted artist. I can't just replicate and make photorealistic drawings or whatever. But he always saw something in me. And so he would always be encouraging me to draw with him or paint or play with stencils and mixed media. Didn't even know mixed media was a thing. I just liked collaging. Then he goes, yes, but what if you had paint? What if you had texture? What if you had these things? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a whole new world. So having an inspiration in your life is really helpful. And I think that's what got me back into it, because I was very serious, you know, and he invited a lot more playfulness, which has been really great. And it gave me permission to explore and to try and to let myself let go of perfection and just play, just doodle, whatever. It doesn't have to look a certain way. We can take some classes or go to YouTube University ultimately and just support each other on that. And that's been really good. But I feel like, to answer your question specifically, while I dabbled with opening myself up in my late 20s and early 30s, it wasn't until I really had time, like you had. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was going through a lot of emotions and thoughts had come up that I was very uncomfortable with, and that's when I started my transformation work. And because I was meditating and because I had the time, I was actively engaging in my own art therapy, where I allowed myself the time and space to play in my art room / meditation space that I had in my old house. And so I'm like, if I can't go to a mental hospital because, you know, I'm here and that's okay. And, you know, it's not that severe. But I'm like, well, what if I can take the idea of that? Because, like, what do we get at these institutions is a place to speak, to tell your truth, to acquire coping tools, to express oneself and tell your story, like all of that. And art therapy and dance therapy, they're all available to help people on their healing journey. So I'm like, I'll just do that at home. I'm just going to do that for myself. And that's when I opened myself up. And then I started to allow myself to imagine new things. I've always admired people that can draw and paint. I've admired people who can play instruments. And so I let myself be bad at playing the ukulele for a while, you know, and I can't get strumming. Strumming's still really hard, but I like arpeggios and I like just noodling away, as you call it. So I just started to explore different tools and notice how I felt. You know, I taught myself knitting and crochet. I've always been a very creative person and I love making things. I've always been very crafty. While it didn't stop necessarily, I think I really dug in and opened myself in my 30s. And that was really great. And then coming back to it again from a different vantage point and intention with the Artist's Way with the group last year. Mm-hmm. That was amazing because you can know you're a creative being. Like I know I have creative potential and skill, but you can also get stuck and blocked. But if you don't know how to unblock or how to look at it, what are you even supposed to do with that? And that's what I loved about the Artist's Way. That was really, really helpful for me.
Me too.
To like just help me like identify myself, like where my blocks were, remembering things because of all the journal prompts and tasks and things. It just helps you uncover where that stagnation came from.
Yeah. It really makes you identify what limiting beliefs and old programs that you're holding on to that are preventing you from allowing yourself to just play.
Yeah. But Josh and I have been trying to get people to play with us for a long time. Mm-hmm. We were always coloring because he was a graphic designer. He went to art school. And so that was never going to go anywhere. He was always going to be there.
He's so full of creative juice in life.
So much.
It's awesome.
It really is. And so we would constantly be inviting people. And these are people who haven't colored since they were a child. And he like, here is a selection of coloring books and colored pencils or crayons or markers. Like we have all of the tools that you would possibly need. And I remember watching them smiling, like really enjoying this process again. And then they would like look and like, oh, I haven't done that in forever. And I'm like, I'm so glad you did. How do you feel? And everybody felt really good afterwards. It's a very, it just makes you feel better.
I've never walked away from coloring being like adamantly pissed or frustrated.
Right.
It's so soothing. It brings you into the present moment and it connects you to your body. It connects the brain to hand wiring in your system. I'm sorry, I don't have like
That's fine.
I'm not educated on the actual system of the body, but there is that connection that happens and the creative outlet of choosing the colors and deciding where things go and what medium and tools you want to use to bring this artwork and drawing or whatever you're working on to life.
It's
Sorry,
very
continue.
Delightful. It's delightful. It brings in light and space. And that's the thing that I like to focus on, is it should help you feel better. But if it's not, then that's the perfection program. And that's another thing that we get to look at and process and work through.
Yeah. But playing and making space and time for art and that exploration is really great at showing you where your blocks are and what thought patterns are arising and getting in the way.
It's true. And I work with some ladies in my guided meditation group that are of my mother's age, and encouraging them to play has been very interesting. It's like I watch and I encourage and we talk about things. And this one of the members of the meditation group has said that she always admired people who could draw. And she's never drawn, but she's always loved it in others. And so I said, well, what's stopping you? Do you want to play? You want to pick up a pencil and see what that's like? And it's like, oh, no, I don't know. It's like, I'm so old and la, 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 and all these excuses. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
You don't have to become the next Picasso.
Right? Like, you're not going to necessarily, like, be, like you said, like, become a professional, but it's worthy of exploration. And it was only because it brought delight to her eyes. Like, she really, when she imagined, like, when she would talk about other people, it, like, lit her up. I'm like, well, why not? So she took that and she was thinking about it, and she ended up buying a sketchbook and talking with somebody in her community, and she was an artist, and she kind of guided her through and got so excited because artists love other artists and be like, you want to play, you want to learn, oh my god, let me show you all the things. So they went to Michael's and she got her a starter pencil set. And so it's really nice to see people open up to new possibilities, to explore parts of themselves that have been roped off for so long.
Dormant.
Yeah. And I think there's just something worthy of exploration. Because that's all we're doing is just creating space and being with oneself and connected to nature. And like, this is the meditation group. This is the idea there. This is what we're growing within ourselves. It's a space for ourselves. And to do things that bring you joy. And so this is something she goes, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go out. I'm just going to start. I'm going to watch some videos. And so I got a message from her that she was watching some videos and she's going to start soon. So I'm like, you go.
That's awesome.
Just go play. But yeah, how that was dormant for so long. Yeah, I like that word for it. Things go dormant. They don't fade. They don't go away. They're still there, right? They're still there inside. The desire to learn how to sing. Like, there are so many things. This is what I also love about the Artist Way, because it helps you remember or gives you these prompts to, like, what did you like as a kid?
Right.
What did you want to do as a kid? What things brought you that joy or connection? And there's a number of things. I can rattle off a whole list of things that I've always loved. And so those become my go-tos wherever inspiration strikes, whether I want to go take some pictures because I love photography. I love writing. I love drawing. I love dancing around by myself. No one needs to see it. I just like to move and express myself physically, ceramics, so much fun. Yarning, as I call it, which is knitting and crocheting. It's just all yarn. Just yarning. Love yarning. What else do I love doing?
Zentangle.
Yeah, that's part of the drawing. That's Painting. A really Zentangle. Because there's so many things out there now that you can do that just help you quiet the mind.
Yeah.
This is for me the meat and potatoes of why we do this. Why should we create space to play and be creative? Is so that we can quiet ourselves, because that as a practice itself is really beneficial, so that we can listen to guidance and we can hear our inner voice and what we desire to do or how we want to show up or what we want to grow. Singing. Ooh, there was another one. I always want to learn how to sing and play instruments. That's awesome. There's so many things that just bring me joy. And I think it's worthy of your time to feel that out within you. Cooking is creative.
Ooh, yes.
So creative. And I love feeding people and making them happy with food. So win-win all around. But I think it's a great way to connect with the inside. But the Zentangle, following lines, like not having to think, just random squiggles, swirls, making patterns and circles and swoops, and it's flowy. And then there's this other one, I forget what they called it. It was like neuro something. But basically you create all these lines and then you smooth the edges and you fill out and you round out all the edges, and it just, everything becomes round and smooth and curvaceous and flowy. Right? You start off like, oh my God, this is my day. And it's like, this line is angular and jagged and all over. And then you go in and you fill in some of the space. And it's really satisfying. You feel calmer. You can just focus on your breath. There's so many health benefits to this as well.
Yeah. And I think doing something like Zentangle is a very accessible way to start experimenting with art and creation and play again. Because something like that, where you're just making lines or following lines, it does allow you to shut your brain off to a certain extent. And it's not this intimidating thing where you're sitting down and you're staring at a blank page. And if you're someone who like hasn't drawn or painted in years, and you have all of these perfectionist programs running, well, it's like, oh, well, I'm not gonna be able to make anything like I used to be able to make before. Or if you're a beginner, you're like, I don't even know what the hell to do or what to pick up right now. Picking up something like Zentangle, where it just gets you into that mindfulness and into that flow, where you don't have to think so much and you don't end up thinking yourself out of doing it, I think is a really nice, accessible way to just kind of start dipping your toes back in to the world of creativity and art and play.
Yeah, and keeping the stakes low. Nobody needs to see it. It doesn't need to be perfect. This is just for you.
That's been key in helping me feel more comfortable creating just in general, is like having the things that are private to me, like knowing it's like journaling, having your own personal journal. You know that this is for me, for nobody else to witness. And that creates such a comfort, and you can quietly grow your skills if you're worried about them being perfect or worried that things will be judged by other people. And you can slowly build that confidence and that practice up over time.
That's what I love about following artists on YouTube and creators who share about their process. Because people judge the art that they see. It's the final product. But art is a process. Sketchbooks are a playground for experimentation. Artists will very rarely share their sketchbook unless they're asked or there's a special reason or people just are curious and want to see it and everything. But ultimately, that's where you experiment. That's where you just kind of tune in. Either you're drawing what you see around you or whatever's coming in your head or whatever it is. You practice shapes, you practice eyes or hands or patterns or whatever. It's practice. And then it's in that sketchbook where inspiration hits, and then it wants to become a larger piece. So it goes from sketchbook and, processing and finding the vision, honing that vision, and then it's ready for the canvas. But even on the canvas, there's a sketch, there's an underpainting, there's a whole process to it. The process is what is ultimately fun and freeing. Being in the flow of creativity, I love this idea, is we are innately creative beings. And if we imagine ourselves as the paintbrush, we are the tool, and we connect to the greater inspiration, whether it's source or the universe or spirit or the earth, whatever, the earth, wherever you are getting your inspiration from, it's coming through you. Like your brain is just sort of like the receiver, picking up on the frequency, because the practice is whatever your goal is. But for instance, I'm going to use this as an example. When I wanted to hone my artistic skill with mandalas, right? I wanted to learn how to do mandalas and patterns and the Zentangle and everything. And then simultaneously, I also wanted to become more comfortable filling a page. So I got myself a teeny tiny, like little, what is this? Like a 5x3 notebook or something. And small pages, easy to fill. It's low stakes.
Yeah.
And it started with I would just do one side. Right? Just one side. And I would just a bunch of bubbles. I'm just going to do a bunch of circles. And this one's going to do a bunch of lines. And this one I'm going to do the mandala thing that I found with like the flower. And then it just sort of evolves. And it got to this point where I would sit down and I would look at the colors of my jelly rolls that I have, a whole collection of them. And I would just be drawn to certain color combinations and curious. I'm like, okay, I like these colors. Now what? And then I have the page open. And then I would wait until I saw something. And sometimes it would be a circle here. Sometimes I would just have to tell myself, just put some lines down anywhere. And just got to break that resistance, right? Because we're not going for perfection. We're just going for presence. We're going for flow. We're going for, let's just put something down.
Yeah.
And I would just follow it. Follow those lines. And people would be like, oh my God, that's so amazing. But yeah, but it's just a bunch of lines. What do you mean? But again, this is why everybody can connect into this. And this is just part of the process of exploration, is can you quiet your mind and your body enough to perceive images? I also like to play with my third eye a lot, because like one day I went down, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do like a beach scene. Let's just say I was going to do this thing in my book, and I get there and I wait and I'm waiting for the image to come into my mind so I can start on the page. But that's not what I saw. I kept seeing lines, like these like triangles and everything. And I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm drawing triangles today. And it ended up being a really awesome page. So a lot of this is opening ourselves up to the inspiration, to the muse,
Right.
and just allowing whatever is inside an outlet out. So it's just taking a time to look at your brain. What's in there? Is it fuzzy? Is it chaotic? Is there an image that you can put down that would represent what you're feeling? So that is another way that I like it for art therapy purposes, is because it can help show you your state of mind. Maybe it's really cluttered. Maybe it's really open, or it's half full, right? Because it went from this page on the left and it merged a little bit and expanded into the other page. So it was expanding and being more fulfilled. And then maybe some words will come through your consciousness, and then you'll just jot those down on the side. It should be play. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
There's so much to it, and you don't know until you try what's there for you.
Yeah. I've loved using that as a tool for myself, like sitting with like a blank notebook page and just drawing or writing out whatever is there within me in a particular moment, and just seeing what emerges. And it becomes such this beautiful practice of not only holding space for yourself and really taking the time to sit with you and whatever's going on within you, which is inherently healing, but it does also create that space and that connection to spirit, to see what wants to come through you as that paintbrush. And you can sit there and you can ask, like you mentioned, what wants to be drawn next? What wants to be written next? And kind of removing yourself from it sometimes, if you're not using it as a way to connect deeper within to you and how you're feeling, to express and hold space for yourself. But just asking, what wants to come through me today, in whatever form you're working with. This is what I'm trying to create with my music. If I'm opening up a new project and I have no idea where to begin, just asking, what wants to come through me today? And allowing spirit, source, the earth, again, whatever you're connected to, whatever you're inspired by, to move through you, to move through your hands and through your body. It's a really beautiful and healing thing. Tapping into that creative flow is really, it is meditation. And it is so healing. Just fucking disconnect from the intensity and the chaoticness, the chaotic energy of the world around us. And it, for me, it reminds me what is important and what brings me true joy, which is being in that creative flow, connecting with spirit, connecting with source, connecting with myself, and witnessing other people being in that state. And we can share all of the things that have come through us and all the things that we've created and be like, look Look what came out of me today. Look what I drew on this page. Listen to this crazy, intense emo punk rock song that I just made because I was pissed off at my dad for the yada, 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 or whoever. And to me, that feels like one of the deepest, most joyful and fulfilling ways to connect with other people is through art, through these channeled creations. And it's beautiful, and it's so necessary, and it's such an important thing to make time and space for, to counteract the heaviness of reality of regular adult life. Hey there, everyone. It's Maggie here. I hope you're enjoying today's episode so far. Nikki and I just wanted to take this time to say how grateful we are for all of you who choose to spend your valuable time with us each episode, and for liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing this incredibly soul-fulfilling project of ours. Your support and interaction on whatever platform you're listening from not only helps spread these conversations of light to the people that they're meant to find, but they also help remind us that what we are creating here is resonating with you, and that we're being of service to the collective whole, which is such a strong intention for both of us and is like truly such a wonderful gift. We also wanted to quickly share that if you were called to support this podcast in a more personal way and support us, you can become a member of our Patreon community, which has several monthly donation tiers to choose from, and it gives access to exclusive content like very special monthly guided meditations led by Nikki herself. These proceeds directly fund the cost, time, and energy it takes to continue creating and publicly sharing this podcast, which is such a monumental help for our two-person DIY production here. So a huge, huge thank you to all of our existing and future patrons. Your support genuinely means the world to us. If you'd like to go become a member of our community, you can find the link in all our description boxes and homepages of wherever you're listening from. Or you can type in patreon.com/NTHP podcast, all lowercase, into your search bar, whatever works for you. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Now back to the episode.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and what comes to mind is connection. Connection to self, to source, if you believe in that as a means of inspiration, but connecting then also to others. Mm-hmm. And then learning to discern where it's safe to share, because honestly, it's not always safe to share the most vulnerable sides of you, especially when it's fragile and new and needs protection, like that inner child needs to be protected. So you share it with open-minded or like-minded people who would be supportive and not offer shameful criticism. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you think you're doing? You're an adult. Why are you fucking around and playing and, learning? Like, why are you doing that? You don't bring your treasure, your precious little creation, to people like that. Mm-hmm. So it is a very discerning community that you can share that with. But I tell you, I love sharing. Like, there's something about when you're done creating something, even if it's just a mock-up or just a sketch or just the beginning of an idea, mm-hmm. like, oh, look what I did. Look how cool. I mean, it's not perfect, but isn't it fun? It just brings you so much joy. And that's what you want to share. You want to share the joy that you created with other people. Creating space for yourself to explore the inner landscape through expressing yourself and tapping into creativity at any age. The intention is it brings you joy. It delights you. And what do you automatically want to do when you create something that brings you joy? You want to share it. And I think that's what we're here for. We share food. I make food. I'm like, here, Maggie, eat this. I know you're not hungry, but just try it. Isn't it delicious? I'm sorry. Do you think it's delicious? I don't want to tell you what to think.
It was delicious.
Good. But that's what we want to do. We create. It brings us joy, and we share that. Mm-hmm. Why would we not allow ourselves those opportunities, I think is such a disservice, which is why I'm a big fan of talking about this, of inspiring others at any age to pick something up. I think I had an aunt who wanted to learn piano in her 40s, and now she's in her 60s, and she plays beautifully. Oh, and apparently now she's also a painter. She just amazing. Yeah. I've had aunts go to grad school in their 50s. You know, it's never too late to learn.
No, it's not.
Especially if it's always been there. If it's always been like underneath, wanting so patiently, but wanting that attention and room to grow.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It is never too late.
I'm going to always be learning and creating.
That's also why we're here.
I really do think it is. And I want more people to give themselves that permission to play, to be open, to learning new skills that bring you delight. Sewing. I've always wanted to learn how to sew. I've dabbled a little bit, but I have a whole bunch of friends now. Next week, we're going to go doing some sewing together.
Yeah.
You know, it's like as soon as you determine what it is that you would like to grow, or like, I've always wanted to do that. It's amazing how it sort of just finds you.
Yep. How quickly it gets reflected back to you.
Other people are like, hey, I've always wanted to do that. Oh my God, I was just talking about that. So then you go do it together.
Yeah. That's what happened with pickleball for me. I'm like, man, I really want to try this.
Lot for a while.
Yeah, I know.
And then it finally came to you.
It did. I was like, I need people in my life to play. And my sister came down from the Bay last holiday season, and my dad was like, what is this? I guess we'll try it out. I used to play tennis, meh. And now we play together. And it's fabulous. But yeah, it can happen very quickly once you're like, I like this. I want to explore this more. How can I do that? Boop. Enter community.
Yeah.
And that can also be online community.
Totally.
It doesn't have to be in person. You can just stumble upon an art channel that happens to do a tutorial for exactly what you're wanting to learn. And you're like, oh, thank you so much, algorithm.
Yeah.
You read my mind.
It could start solitary. And then the more that you do it, the more you find you do want to connect with others. And then you reach out, or they reach out, or you find it.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about, I'm like, I want to go to the art museum.
LACMA?
Any of them. Like, this is one of the artist dates that I've been wanting to do for myself, is to just bring a sketchbook to an art museum. Because you see a lot of art students do that, and they'll study the masters. But I also like watching people. But just, I don't know. I think there's just something there that I want to explore of capturing my environment. Because I used to have a lot of judgments about, like, no, artists, they could just draw what's in their mind. That's so amazing. And then Josh is like, I hate to burst your bubble. Most artists use reference. I'm like, what?
Yep.
He goes, yeah, no, look. And he shows me all these reference photos of models, of gestures, of all these things. He goes, you can use reference. I'm like, isn't that cheating? But people also use light tables because they'll sketch something really cool, but it's not a crappy piece of paper, right? And that's not long archival, if you will, you know? So that's what the iterations, the process is about. And that's why these tools are so handy. It's a tool as a tool. You're going to be mad at somebody who uses a hammer instead of a rock, you know?
You're doing it on easy mode.
Right. That's cheating.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's ingenuity.
Yeah. It's strategic.
Right.
Sustainable.
Right.
So you can keep creating longer.
Yeah. So there's no way, there's no wrong way, but stealing is wrong. Don't steal other people's art. Come on. But you could use it as inspiration.
Yeah. It is really interesting because I've heard you speak this a number of times about how you haven't felt like you're a real or gifted artist when it comes to drawing because you can't just draw what you see.
Right. I didn't go to school for it too.
Right.
Right.
But that particular point where you can't just draw things immediately with like perfect photorealism, like that seems to be the main insecurity that has created a block. And I find it so fascinating because I think that shows and is a reflection of how much you wish you had that particular skill. That seems to be something that you're very drawn to. So I'm just wondering what it would be like for you to go to that museum and just to sit at like an outdoor cafe table and just like draw what you see around you. And maybe if you did this on a regular basis, you'd be able to go anywhere and just be like, oh, I'm just gonna sketch what I see. And what that would do for this inner critic to be like, oh, I can't just draw what I see. Like the healing that would happen from that, I think would be beautiful to witness. But I've seen in myself, like the people that I'm jealous of, the things that I keep saying, like, oh, this isn't good enough, this isn't good enough. Those are a reflection of where I hope my skill and my talent can reach. It's a goal that you can set for yourself. And unfortunately, when the perfectionism comes in and the insecurity comes in, it makes this goal impossible. It puts it on top of a mountain and it gives you no hiking and climbing gear to be able to get up to it. But I think seeing it as a goal to work up to and kind of shifting that and being like, oh, I would like to do this, instead of being like, I'm pissed off that that person can do this. Why can't I do that? It's the subtle reframe of, I would like to get there one day, and I would like to learn the process to get to that point. What are some small baby steps that I can start today to grow my skills, to learn more, to achieve that?
I think you really hit the nail on the head there, because that's what you hear a lot from artists who hear that from others, and they look at them like, do you think this just happened overnight? This is not natural. I've put thousands, tens of thousands of hours into honing this particular skill.
Yeah.
Like there was this artist, he passed away really early. I forget his name, but he was really amazing. He could draw everything freehand with a pen or a marker.
Wow.
And only because he wanted to do that. So he only used pen and marker. Learning to do this, they were not all great, but because he was consistent, and that is really the key to everything of growth, is consistency. Is you do this thing that you like, and it could be as little as 20 minutes a day. That's it. And you just keep working at it and growing and practicing and refining. It is a process. So I hear what you're saying about that. And yes, you're right. I have mentioned that a lot, how much I admire people that could just draw what they see. And then my mind kind of reminds me of, actually, you can do that. I just don't work at it, because I'm being shown this cow skull that I drew in college. I took a drawing class in college. And I recognized that the longer I worked at it, the better it got. Because I kept taking away or adding or shading or this or that. It's like rendering. You can't, it's just poof, it's not a photo, right? You're there, you're drawing it. But yeah, I'm sure I could get much, much better. And I've heard other artists who wanted to do photorealism, they just started to do it. And then you don't judge it as you're doing it, but a year or two later, you reflect back and you take stock on how far you've come. And it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. The perfectionist thinking is so, I know we don't love this word, but it is really silly. And it's backwards thinking. It makes no sense, because this has been one of my biggest struggles. And this is what I've been working on in the last few years, of creating intentional time and space to play and to work on alleviating and releasing these limiting beliefs, because it just prevented me from making anything. And that was not fun. But it really makes no sense for how the mind comes in and it's like, well, we are bad at something right now. So A, we will never become good at it.
Oh,
And B, we can't put time and energy into it because we're bad at it. But literally the only way that you can become good, and I air quotes around good because it's not even a real thing. There's no morals or I don't think that there should really be morals when it comes to art, especially when it comes to people being beginners. Like you used the word bad ukulele playing earlier in this conversation. There's no bad
that was
when
slip,
it comes to
but
things.
I hear you. Yeah.
We're allowed to be beginners.
Yes.
We're allowed to not have experience yet, or to know certain tools, or to know certain information and knowledge yet. But it makes no sense for the mind to come in and be like, we're bad at something, so we're just not going to do it. When the only way to become good at something, which is what that perfectionist program wants, which it stops us from doing, is to do it, is to practice, is to become consistent, to hold space and to create time for us to build the skills and to find what inspires us and what brings us joy in whatever medium we're working with. So it makes no sense.
Thank you for that. And what was coming through as you were speaking that is the term muscle memory. All of these skills develop muscle memory. And in the beginning, yeah, it's going to be awkward. Literally, you learn anything.
Yep.
And it's awkward.
Learning bar chords on guitar, so uncomfortable. Don't have to think about it at all now.
Right, because I've seen chefs who aren't even looking, and they're just chippy-chopping away and not killing themselves or chopping off their fingers because they've done thousands of onions.
Yep.
They don't have to look anymore because they can feel. They know what it feels like to be in the right position and to be in this manner.
Right.
But that's for everything. That's from knitting to cooking to art to developing the eyes. Like when I was teaching myself how to knit, I was so frustrated at first. I'm like, this does not look that hard. Like, why is this so hard? Why is it so tight? And I'm like, I had to learn. I'm like, also, what the heck am I looking at? I couldn't tell what stitch, like how to count stitches. Like, you don't know. And so at one point, because I was like dropping things, it was a hot mess of a block of yarn. And I got to this point where I'm like, I give in. I don't care. I'm just going to keep doing this stitch. And I'm going to consistently try to loosen the knit of it because it was so tight. I'm like, you can't knit if it's too tight on the needle, but I couldn't have learned that unless I experienced it.
Right.
Like, this is what they're talking about yarn tension. Oh, and then it's like, so you're learning how to see, you're learning how to feel, and you're teaching your muscles a movement, a repetitive movement. And that takes time. So my first scarf was the bottom of it had holes and the tension was all over. It was more rounded than anything. And it was a hot mess. But then it was about like maybe 6 inches up. I got it. I finally figured it out. The tension was good. It was flowing off of the needle. It was so much easier. And I'm like, I did it. I made a scarf. This end is kind of fun. And so I showed Josh, and he goes, this is now my favorite scarf. And he wore it for years proudly because it was the first thing I ever made.
Oh, that's so
but
sweet.
It was what I learned on. And as soon as I let go of that perfection of needing it to be something that I'm not capable of, I'm like, you know what? Nope. Building memory. It's all good. I'm going to learn. And then things just clicked.
Yeah. Yeah. And the confidence that's building to overcome the challenge, to overcome the limiting beliefs, and to just learn to let go and to trust that the more that you do this, the more muscle memory you build, the more confident and more skilled you will become. And it really is such a great practice in building self-value and self-trust too. It's like, oh, you know what? I can allow myself to learn, to build skills, to have growth over time. And that the more that you do that, the more you're telling yourself, oh, I believe in you. we can learn the skills. We can apply the tools that we're learning. We can grow. And then after a certain amount of time, you can look back, like journaling, and see the healing and the growth and the skills that you've created. And it's just this beautiful force of fulfillment and enjoyment. There's just so much within this that is so self-healing and soothing and growing in so many facets. It's so important.
Absolutely. Yes, you're right. It does have that ability to boost your confidence, to show you, like, look, I can learn something new. Look, I can improve at this thing. I did not think I could, but I did it anyway, and I kept going. And then you get there and you're like, wow, go me.
Yeah.
You get to celebrate you. And that can then permeate other areas of your life.
Absolutely.
It could encourage you to try something else or something new that you've always wanted to pick up. And then you also become an inspiration to others. In the meantime, you're like, look at this thing I made. And then they will think and reflect and be inspired by your progress or what you're sharing. And then they'll pick up something new. There's a lot of benefits, a lot of perks to this.
So many benefits. I feel most at peace and in tune and connected when I am allowing myself to creatively flow and express in my day-to-day. Allowing myself to be a beginner at things, or wherever I feel like I'm at with whatever medium I'm working with, allowing myself to be exactly where I am and keeping the door open for curiosity and the openness to learn something, to apply it, to grow and to learn, and to find more about who I am and what I'm trying to express, like with music production. I get so overwhelmed by how many things there are to learn within the system itself that I'm working with, the DAW, all of the recording gear, everything. And for so many years, I was just like, I'm horrible at this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so intimidated. I'm overwhelmed. This sucks. I suck. I will never make good music because I don't understand this. But the work that I've done and the space that I've created for just play with no expectation, removing the rules and the restrictions of whenever I sit down to work on music or to make music, I have to walk away with something good. Like that was always a quiet, subconscious rule that I tried to hold myself to, which is so limiting. It restricts what wants to come out of me, what wants to flow through me. But just allowing myself to show up and be like, okay, what wants to come through me today? And whatever comes through, if I feel like there's something that's missing, a tool that I don't have in my arsenal, in my tool belt, now I'm trying to shift my focus to, okay, here is something that I don't yet know. And shifting some time and focus into learning that piece, going to YouTube, going on Google, doing some research, getting multiple perspectives, and then coming back and applying it. And when I successfully fix whatever problem I was having or filling that emptiness, the fulfillment I feel from that, and just the, oh my God, it's also just so inspiring to be like, oh, I fixed a problem. I learned something new. I just got just a little bit much better at the thing that I love. And that shit fuels me, man. To be able to rise to and overcome a challenge in the face of a creative project and journey, that to me is some of the most satisfying work that we can do.
Absolutely. And I can see how, as a possibility from this experience that you were just describing, how then that can influence other areas of your life. And
Yes.
that's what I love about this concept of creating more space for play, because inevitably you're going to learn something while playing
Yep.
and figuring things out.
That's an absolute.
And then you can apply that new wisdom that you've acquired in other areas of your life. And if we can start to problem solve using creative means, or even if it's thinking or doing something different or new, or opening ourselves up to other options or opportunities or people or community, it's a jumping board into greater moments of your life.
Yeah.
It can really be a solid foundation that you can springboard off of and apply to other areas of your life that are maybe troublesome or stuck. Let's bring some of that creative inspiration into it. You know, because I think that's a lot of what problem solving is coming up with creative solutions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And sometimes that requires a little bit of research, a little bit of self-exploration, a little bit of getting out of our own way and just connecting to the flow. Because there's a lot of beauty and gifts in flow. And you know you're in flow when you lose track of all time. When you can get so into something that you didn't even realize that 3 hours have passed because you're so present. And that is a gift. That is a ride. I've experienced flow so often, and it's always around art.
Yeah.
Whether I was in the dark room for 3 hours playing with exposures and the different ways
I loved the darkroom in college.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know. And this is also the permission. Please try things. You don't even have to know why you want to do it. Just go see what lights you up. I just loved photography, but that we were doing black and white film and we had to learn how to develop and print our own photos.
Yep, same.
I'm like, I had no idea that this would delight me so much.
Yeah.
And so again, you get to learn parts about you. Learn things about who you are and what brings you joy. And then as soon as you identify what does bring you joy, you're like, what else? You know?
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's how you grow
opens
joy.
so much up.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's like that, the wedge. If your life is just all darkness and responsibility and challenge, bringing in just a tiny little sliver of creativity and space for you to connect with your own inner joy and who you are, it's going to grow.
Yeah.
It's going to expand, especially if you consistently feed it that space and you grow that space. And man, it can change your life for the better.
Yeah, like if the whole painting and drawing thing doesn't resonate with you, I mean, literally card games with a friend or with your family can be so creative. Board game, super fun, super playful. Playing a video game, my God, Animal Crossing, Minecraft, super creative. There are small, simple, accessible ways to tap into this. And there's, again, just to tie this back to the beginning, there's just a beautiful array and spectrum of so many things out there. Like sports can be play, skateboarding can be play, and creative. We've had this conversation in one of our previous seasons about that specifically. There are just so many ways to bring just a touch more joy and creativity and playfulness and childlike wonder into our daily lives. And I do sincerely hope that our listeners out there who are resonating with this can find like 30 minutes on like a Friday evening or something to just bust out that old coloring book, to go take out your watering color notebook and your old brushes and palette, or to go pick up a camera or go pick up your rollerblades or a sewing kit. Like, I don't know. There's so many things. It's infinite.
Really is.
But I think just carving out just a little bit of time for ourselves to tap back into our inner child and to ask, what would bring me joy in this moment to create, to explore? What did I used to love doing? And can I create time in my week? Again, it can be 20, 30 minutes just to sit down and to enjoy that time with yourself and ultimately with spirit and with the universe and the earth and humanity. Because I think all of that flows through us when we tap into our creative and playful flow.
Yeah. I'm being reminded of a book, The War of Art. Really great, short read, insightful. There's also a belief that whatever these playful / hobbies that you have to make you money. That has actually been a hindrance for me.
Me too.
Because I would be super, like I was collaging toilet seats for a while. I had so much fun. It was my potty humor. And it just brought me such delight. And I would sit there or stand there and just laugh at this collage on my toilet seat that I would make, that I did make. And it was a joke because we could tell when people were reading the toilet seat because they were in the bathroom for an exorbitant amount of time.
Or they were doing something else, but
right now. That's funny. But yeah, no, they would just like really enjoy it. And every time I was doing something artistic and like making something, everyone was like, you should sell this. You should have an Etsy shop. And then
that's a lot of people's first
as they
response,
did that,
yeah.
I lost all inspiration. I no longer wanted to do it. I'm not doing it to make money. I'm doing it because if I don't, I get sad.
Yeah.
You know, like I noticed this, like when I get really sad, I can recognize now after years and years of this, I'm not as creatively expressing myself.
Yeah.
And that is really where I get a lot of my joy. But the moment somebody brings money into it, it ruins it for me.
That's what society is really imprinted
the capitalistic
on the last
society,
yeah,
for sure.
On the last few generations, it's really, really unfortunate because I have felt this for a very long time. And it's kind of ironic because I am currently at the point where I am trying to like monetize my creative fulfillments and projects because they bring me so much joy. I want them to support me financially in my life. That is what I'm building. But I felt that pressure for so long that it's like everybody's looking for these little like, oh, like side hustle things. Like, oh, you sew, you crochet. Oh, you must make an Etsy shop. You must sell this. And that's where everybody's mind goes, is to the how can we monetize this? How can we make money off doing this thing? And it's like, it does strip the joy and the play from it because play inherently is for its own sake. It's not for anything else. It's for
art for the art's sake.
Yes. And bringing the money into it, it's like, I understand where people are coming from. But it also, it does literally suck the joy out of it because I'm like, now I have to turn this into a business. And now this is reminding me of work.
Yeah.
Which we use creative projects and play to tap back into the joy of living. Like thinking about survival all the time, thinking about money, which is a tool for survival, is just bringing us back into that space of lack, of not having enough, of greed, of needing to make more, of like being super productive. And like the self-worth that's tied in with that when people are like, oh, you should sell this. You should make money off this. It's like, I'm sorry. Am I not enough as I am? Is this art not worth just enjoying? Why does there have to be this extra monetization and pressure and force to it? Why can it not just be for me?
Right.
For my own enjoyment.
And I think that's ultimately what it's about. And that's what I love about The War of Art, because it talks about you make art for art's sake. The byproduct is it supports you if it can. If it brings you joy to make a print and then make copies and sell them as cards because there's a demand, and that's so flattering and that's so nice. And if it's easy and it's doable, great. But if it ends up depleting you, there's an imbalance.
Yeah.
And there's also this limiting belief that once you make one good thing, you have to keep going or do the same thing over and over and over because that's what they expect of you. But as an artist, You can't be pigeonholed like that. You have to keep growing and experimenting and connecting to the messages or inside of you and what wants to come out. So, yeah, that's kind of like one of the pitfalls. But if we have awareness around it, that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we are centered in our knowing of why we're doing this, what our intentions are. And if people want it, great, noted. If that's doable, I will. If not, I'm going to move on to the next right thing for me.
Yeah.
You know, this was just one expression. I have others.
Yeah. Art and creative expression can support us in so many more ways than just financial.
Facts. I'm like seeing this path of mine, and there's times when art or creative expression is more prominent than others, and then also like the different levels of the different creative expressions that I do love, from writing to speaking to drawing to all the different things, and just sort of like watching for the patterns is always very interesting to reflect back on.
Right.
And what I've observed is I'm always happiest when I'm creating.
Yep.
When I'm sad, I'm not creating. And so I'm like, oh, well, let me create some. And that usually helps to lift me out of the blues. But then it's also a great way, because that's also where you find some of that inspiration to express what you were feeling. And I think that's a lot of what we're here to do, is to help communicate our story or emotions and share it with others. I think it's really valuable to do it for yourself first, you know. But yeah, I'm always happiest when I'm creating, which is why I think it's been a focus the last few years. And why I'm also expanding my definition of creativity, because a lot of times when we have these natural gifts, we don't give it enough credit.
Mm.
Even like how I had mentioned to you off mic, I now realize and acknowledge that this process of us recording the podcast is a creative expression.
Yes.
I'm like, oh yeah, even though I knew that, right? Because we're like, yeah, no, we're communicating, we're expressing ourselves, we're speaking our truth, we're showing up, we're doing all these things.
We're channeling.
Right.
We are in the flow of
presence.
creative conversation. Yeah,
right.
And presence.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah. So there's a lot of, there's just a lot to it. And
the description writing.
Oh yeah.
And just the whole business building of the podcast
Very
is creative. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of fulfillment in creativity, but ultimately the intention is for you. You do this for you, not for others because they tell you you're so good at it, you should do it, but because it authentically brings you joy and connection to yourself.
Amen.
So more, please. Thank you. I love it. I love all the expression. I'm going to keep growing and playing with things.
Me too. Can't stop.
Right.
Will not stop.
Please don't.
I won't.
I can't wait.
I, like you do, I'm just, the times that I've been at the lowest in myself is when I have been depriving myself of creative expression and tapping back into my own creative soul energy. Because I am also a very, very firm believer that our souls are here to create, to be in joy, and to learn. But really just to create and to play.
And
it's so fun.
It's the best way to learn is through play.